Hi everybody, welcome back to 779 Organic Master Gardening. We're going to be talking today about transplanting our tomatoes into their final positions, and in front of us here we've got one such tomato, which I'm going to go through with you in just 1 second. But basically we're going to be talking about what leaves to remove, what side shoots to remove, how to transplant them, etc. There's sometimes quite a bit of confusion about what leaves to remove, and at the end of this video, courtesy of a lady called Anne Reed Crawford from a Facebook group called Gardeners United UK and Ireland, she sent me through a very good diagram, and like I say, I will put that at the end of the video. It'll be on the screen so you can have a good look, which summarizes basically everything I'm going to go through with you now. So let's get cracking with this particular thing. Now, we're in the conservatory at the minute because it's easier to film. Let's bring this a little bit closer. Behind that tomato, you can see a chair, and underneath the table on that chair is Jack. So don't be surprised if he suddenly pops his little head up and gives you a look with one of his eyes. So this particular tomato is a Roma tomato, and it's classed as a determinate. And so two types of tomato: determinate and indeterminate. Indeterminate, as the name suggests, basically means it does what it wants unless you can control it. So you're talking about tomatoes that will grow like a vine, whereas this guy grows more like a bush. So he's a little bit smaller than your average, if you like, but the principles are exactly the same. So we've got it in our pot, as you can see, and I'm interested in the first thing I've got to do is I want to remove these lower leaves before I transplant him. And it gives me an opportunity to also show you it's got a beard like I have. So if you can see there, those tiny little white hairs. Now, the intention is, I'm going to put him back in his pot. What I want to be doing is burying this right the way up, turn that around a little bit more so you can see, to there. So I want to bury all of those white hairs, and that's going to allow the plant to produce roots from those hairs itself, so it makes it a lot more sturdy or secure in the ground. And as I said, this isn't going to go much higher than about a metre, maximum 1.5 metres. Now, as you can tell by my grubby fingers, I have already been transplanting some this morning, so I just wanted to take this opportunity before putting in the last 2 or 3 and showing you how I do that, exactly the principles behind it. So like I say, what we want to be doing is burying up to those white hairs because they will generate some additional roots, giving the plant a lot more strength. Okay, so we'll get out into the garden and I'll show you how I've been transplanting them. Okay, so we're out in the final position and we're in one of the no dig beds that I put a video up about, or now 3 or 4 weeks ago. But so what I'm doing is, as you can see, nipping out these bottom leaves like so, and if you remember, as I said just now, there's the white beard, and as you can see there, that white beard is below the line, so it's quite a deep hole. Let me just backfill this, and in that video of this bed, I detailed how we mark out the area. You use sawdust. I'm just doing the last one now. You use sawdust. Start again. Cardboard first. If you can't get cardboard, thick layers of newspaper does the job. And then I popped on a layer of garden compost. Then I put on another layer of sawdust, and then put a top dressing on of green waste compost that had been matured for over a year. So there we go. Now they're all in. As I said recently also, that you always get some weeds, so while you're doing these jobs you can be looking around just to make sure, keep on top of them, knock them out. Now these are, as I say, determinate, so they're like a bush variety, and you can put them in unsupported, but I've got them up against this rebar here, and I will be just tying a little bit of jute string to these guys just to keep them in place. And as you can see, if I pick up the camera, I've got a couple here on the end and I'll be popping them on against a cane. So they're all in there like so. Give them a really good drink. And I'm also going to be feeding them, and we'll come on to that in just a second. And let's just show you the unruly ones, the indeterminate ones as they're called. So these are over here. And as you can see, again, exactly the same principle. They do have a bit more hair on them than the bush ones. I'm just trying to get in there now. You see they're there, but they've gone down a good 4 or 5 inches or so, maybe more. They don't look very happy for themselves because they've just been taken out of their nice warm environment out here. To out here rather, but they're doing good. And one other thing people keep talking about or asking me quite a lot, I'm guessing themselves, is whether or not it's warm enough to plant out. Well, there's a number of ways to find out. You could have a soil thermometer, I guess. There's an old joke where if you want to test if your soil is warm enough or not, is to sit on the ground on your bare backside, and if you can do that on your soil, then it's warm enough. Well, I don't think that's such a great idea, and I don't think my neighbours would be very keen on me testing out that theory. Putting your hand on the soil does feel as if it's warm, but you really want to get your hands right in there, get right down, because the difference in temperature by there to there is quite different, and that's where your roots are going to be. So put your hand in the soil or stick your finger in. If it feels cold, trust your instincts, don't do it. I got caught with a frost the other day. Wasn't expected, but it doesn't take much. It was only 0.9 degrees below Celsius, below freezing if you like in Celsius terms, and it nipped out all the tops of my butternut squashes, so I've got to start those all over again. Luckily I've got time to do that. So you can't rely on the weather forecast, rely on your own skin. And not your backside either. Put your hand on the soil and then put your fingers right in there, get right down as far as you think your roots are going to go, and if it feels cold, don't do it. So if in doubt, don't put them out. Now let's go and look at this feed. So as I'm getting my new container of feed, I'll just remind you guys again that I will put up the picture at the end of this video of Anne-Marie's diagram about what leaves to take off. The point of it is taking the suckers away stops that sucker from becoming another source of another fruit truss. If you want more fruits, leave them on, but the more you have, the less production you'll get from the plant. So again, it's personal choice and you decide. Now this beautiful fragrant liquid is a mixture of sheep manure, organic, that's certified organic, in pellet form. I was having a recent conversation. See if you can listen to this. See if this works. I don't know if the microphone picked up on that, but that's oh goodness me, that's been fermenting, and judging by my reaction, I think you can tell it stinks. Anyway, I was talking to somebody recently on social media about the pets that she has, the dog in particular, and every time she puts down, say, chicken pellets, for example, the dog comes along and eats them. Oh, I've got the same problem here. I came across these sheep pellets to use as a raspberry feed, slow release. Goodness me, that stinks. I'm going to have to stand outside. And the dog came along and just basically ate them. Not a very nice thing to do. Luckily, she doesn't lick my face. But I thought, what can I do about it? And I came up with the idea of basically mixing it in water, and it's worked really, really well because she can't have that. And the principle would apply to fish and bone meal. I also use, I do it with wood ash because it's a great source of calcium, or potash if you like, so there's potassium in there as well and phosphorus. Make a liquid feed and apply it to the to whatever vegetables I want. Now in this particular case, this is great for fruits. So I'm going to be making this up. So I put, this is a 5, hang on, I've got to remember what this is. It's a 10 litre container. So basically what I do is I use 1 litre for every watering can, which is 5 litres. And then I feed my plants with it. and it works very, very well. So it's not just raspberries. Like I say, I'll be using it for the tomatoes and squashes. It's very good for that. It's very high in nitrogen. You can make your other liquid feeds by using nettles, and here are the very small amount of nettles I've got growing in the whole of this garden. So I've got nearly 4 hectares of land, and this is the only space that I've got nettles growing. So I will chop these down, rephrase that, I will harvest these and then chop them up, pop them in a bucket, fill them with water, pop them on the lid, leave them for a few days, and then strain off the liquid. And again, I've got another liquid fertilizer I can use for my plants. So there we go. We've got our determinate bush Roma tomatoes in the ground here, and our indeterminate ones across there. I'm lucky here, I'm able to grow tomatoes outside. A lot of guys in the UK will be putting them in greenhouses under glass. And again, the same principles apply. If you want to know if it's hot enough to put your plants out or warm enough, stick your hand in the soil, because that's where they're going to be living. The roots are going to be in the soil, not outside in that warm air you might already have. So it's worth checking. And like I say, if in doubt, just don't put them out. Well, it's getting to that time of year now where things are really kicking on now. I've even got 2 comfrey plants that have just started to get growing here, and I'm really excited about those. That's for a future video. There's some pumpkins there, look. Now, there's this spinach. This is going out, and I'm going to be putting that with the tomatoes I've just planted. I've got some salad leaves here, and I'm going to be putting those in the other bed with the determinate tomatoes. So I've got plenty to be getting on with. So for now, I will leave you to enjoy your long weekend. Whatever it is you're doing, hopefully you're in the garden catching up. See some calabrese ready to go now. So for now, take care of yourselves. My hose pipe's just burst. Oh well, never mind, better go and turn the tap off. I'll catch up with you very soon. See, this is what happens when you use plastic connectors. They get loose. Let's go and turn that off.